The day is 20th April 2024. There I was, standing outside Hike Food Center Market, along with 100 other people. So why exactly were all of us doing that on a Saturday morning? Well, it was for a scavenger hunt, and not just any scavenger hunt, but an educational scavenger hunt. Let me explain as quickly as I can. Hidden Singapore is a company that organizes what they like to call outdoor escape room. Choosing a neighborhood somewhere in Singapore, you navigate its landmarks to find clues that answer a question. These questions are sent by a WhatsApp bot who is your guide and who you'll be sending your answers to. After you answer correctly, the bot gives you interesting information about the neighborhood before sending you off to the next location to answer the next question. The location's physical details give hints on how to solve the question sent, so you have to be there physically to deduce it, and as a result, you'll be moving around the neighborhood a lot to get to your hints. After you visit all the landmarks and answer all the questions, you complete it. Normally, the hunt themselves are timed, but there's no leaderboard or time to beat, so the timer is just there for the fun of it. You can either choose to take your own sweet time or go incredibly tryhard. You got how it works so far? So, you go from place to extract hints that clue you into your next location, all while basking in the Singapore sun. Something like a scavenger hunt, eh? The educational part comes in because it turns out that the National Heritage Board collaborated with Hidden Singapore for one of their events, and to promote a bit of Singapore neighborhood heritage, they decided that instead of having a traditional friendly scavenger hunt, this time they do a race. Yes, a race. So remember the things I said about how there aren't any leaderboards and you're not competing with other people? Well, in a scavenger race, there are leaderboards, people to beat, prizes to snatch, and glory to win. Well, as much glory as you can get from winning an educational scavenger hunt. A prize of $800 was announced for the top 5 finishers, and when I saw the money, I knew I had to compete. But I didn't want to just compete, okay? I wanted to win. Turns out, the neighborhood chosen for the scavenger race was Joo Chiat, a place around the eastern area of Singapore, and I pored over that place for a better part of around 2 days. I learned about significant buildings, I learned about what took place there, and I also cross-referenced the place where some of the other NHB affiliated activities were taking place, like the Joo Chiat Community Club and I-12 Katong. I also studied the places where the Smart Local went to when they were sponsored by the NHB in one of their videos promoting their events. Each team in this race could have up to 5 people or go it solo, which is what I did because I was that much of an alpha. But as you will later see, there are advantages to having teammates though. To ensure a better video experience, I also borrowed my friend Terrence's GoPro camera for this because the clues and questions were all to be sent on WhatsApp on my phone, so I couldn't afford to use my phone to both record and answer the questions. Before I knew it, the day of the hunt had arrived and I was on my way to the starting point. In the car, I decided to check the settings of the GoPro before the competition, but as I opened the GoPro bag, there weren't any camera, just the stupid tripod for the camera that I left at home. Oh my god. There wasn't any time to go back to take it, so I guess I had to tough it out with my phone. But whatever, I reached the starting point 15 minutes before the scheduled time and saw some people already there. More and more people eventually trickled in before the crowd looked like this. So we're back at the start of the video. As I surveyed my competition, some of which were just families with kids probably looking for a good time, I was locked in. I took one last look at the notes that I wrote a few days prior before the organizers themselves arrived, and after they gave the opening speech, which revealed that there were over 100 plus teams and, correction, 300 plus people participating, the race officially started. So the first hint had these stupid animals with the caption of using the first letter to form a word. I'm keeping the hints as vague as I can because I don't want to totally spoil the hunt in case any of you guys want to do it yourselves. Anyways, when I first saw this hint, my mind immediately thought that there were mascots dressed up as these animals walking around the hawker, like f***ing Duolingo, but then it became obvious that they were like little icons located at the stalls of the hawker center. This was confirmed when I spotted this goofy chicken on one of the stalls and I took note of the first letter. I scoured the rest of the hawker until I eventually found the rest. It formed a word and I keyed it in and I got it right. It gave me a tidbit about the center, but I was in a rush, man. Despite finishing fairly fast, I could tell that I was behind. I got the next hint, giving me a set of directions to follow and this weird picture hint of a computer. I didn't immediately get the question, but I rushed to the location regardless. After crossing the bridge and passing by a drum, I could tell I was heading in the right direction. And if I was looking for any confirmation, it was right in front of me. I was evidently too late, as a horde of fellow racers had already reached the second clue before me. When I saw this monstrous crowd, I legit concluded that the run was over.
How am I supposed to squeeze my way into all the balls? Look at that. Look at that, there's so many people. Shit.
Ain't absolutely no way I was gonna squeeze my way through that insane crowd. And plus, I didn't even really fully get what the hint was trying to say. I initially tried to find pictures of the notice board everybody was crowding around online to try to beat the horde, but any photos I did find were too pixelated to make out. After that solution went nowhere, I hovered around the outskirts of the frenzied crowd, thinking of another way. As I was walking back and forth, I just so happened to position myself next to a team that was discussing the answers and coincidentally were also writing letters on their phone. How serendipitous, I thought to myself. So after seeing this, I decided what I was gonna do for the next 20 minutes, which was just to be in the right place at the right time. Yes. There were a couple of leads, like this guy who looked like he was writing a jumble of letters. I followed suit and it turned out to be wrong. Wow, what a dummy, am I right, fellas? Anyways, I found another lady I could leech off of whose sequence looked a bit more promising, but again, it was wrong. Finally, there was this family who were, at least from where I was standing, discussing the answers quite loudly, thankfully. There was somebody who caught onto my schemes, namely the kid of the family whom I think knew what I was doing. Like, look at this side eye. Alas, I couldn't get an answer from them either. There was an option to skip the question, but if you did, 30 minutes would be added to your timer, so I tried to save it as my last resort. While there was still a sizable crowd outside the notice board, I spotted a couple of teams who were happily leaving the location, presumably on their way to the next hint. Since I, wanted to win, this was not an ideal scenario for me. As the crowd got thinner, it would have been good for me, right? Since there would be lesser people blocking the notice board. But here's the thing, okay? Call me dumbass, because I could not decipher what the question meant. So even when the crowd had thinned out, it was kind of useless, hence the deliberate positioning. When I say I wished I had teammates, this was what I meant. If it wasn't just my bonobo 8 brain present, I'm pretty sure we would have solved it easy and would have been on to the next clue in like 10 minutes. So, after wasting 40 minutes, I decided to just skip this clue, okay? I realistically should have done it the second I saw the insane crowd, but I also should have realistically not have forgotten to bring my GoPro, so I guess realism wasn't working out for me that day. I sprinted to the next hint and I more or less knew I was heading in the right direction because the other participants of the race were also heading in that direction. Luckily, the third hint in the form of a poem, a date and a mural wasn't all that hard and was just a Google search away. I was starting to feel a bit of momentum building up on my side. That was until the very next hit. So this stupid ass cat wants us to find the name of a flower by the windows in the language of the store that they are found at. Okay, simple enough. Boom! Vietnamese stores with flowers. Specifically, these purple flowers. Yo, move! These purple flowers. Plus, other race participants were crowding around it. Okay, this has to be the right one. I looked up Vietnamese purple flowers to get the Vietnamese name, but it turned out to be wrong. So I thought that there were other Vietnamese purple flowers, so I kept trying and trying, but they kept turning out to be wrong. The other race participants were as stumped as I was, considering that they were still stuck at this station like I was. I forgot to mention this, but whenever your answer is wrong, you're slapped with a 1-minute suspension before you can answer again. It's a bit frustrating, but it's to prevent you from spamming answers. While waiting for the timer to expire, I just walked around the store before noticing another Vietnamese stores with flowers, and well, I thought that if it wasn't that one, it had to be this one. As I would find out, it turned out to not be that one, as the wrong answer started to stack up again. At this point, I had spent a good like 20 minutes here racking my brain over the answer, and I was getting a bit tilted. I wanted to just get this hint over and done with, so I impulsively just decided to skip the question. This meant that another 30 minutes will be added to my timer, but that didn't affect me nearly as much as finding out which flowers they were referring to. It was the flowers at the side of that restaurant. Oh my god. Okay, maybe I didn't deserve to get top 3, okay? Maybe it's better if it went to somebody else.
Wow. I am so dumb.
The next hint required me to count the number of windows in this temple. Simple, but I apparently don't know how to count because it took me a few tries, but I eventually got it. There was a free water bottle station at the temple, which was good because the heat on that day was kind of After that, I was brought to some old heritage houses. I actually predicted that these were going to show up in the hunt because they are quite a big landmark in the neighborhood. I guess my research accounted for something in this hunt because so far, it hasn't helped a single bit. Anyway, this hint was like an algebra plus order of operation type of question. Okay, I'm not a dummy, alright? I know how these questions work, but I am quite a careless guy in mathematics, and order of operation questions are designed for you to make mistakes, which I did multiple times. I eventually got it, but I spent like 15 minutes at least because I got a few of them wrong and I had to double back to the houses to check if I actually inputted the correct number. After this hint, I genuinely knew that I was cooked. It was actually Jover. With how much time lost and the number of participants I know were ahead of me, not to even mention the time added because I skipped the clues, I concluded that it was literally impossible to finish top 3. And then... yeah, I was still right. What am I doing? I did not finish top 3 by the time it ended, okay? I know this because, well, I don't think Hidden SG takes 2 months to let me know if I had won or not. I skipped showing the rest of the clues because I don't want to spoil the rest of the hunt if any of you are keen to do it yourself, which you can do so on their website along with the other hunts. I guarantee that you can beat my pathetic time. I'd like to say sorry to the families I was trying to blatantly cheat from if they ever see this. So yeah, that's how I failed to speedrun an educational scavenger race, but I am not done trying, okay? It was said that the National Heritage Board was going to hold another scavenger hunt, or more specifically another heritage activation node, this time in Clementi. With how successful this race was, I wouldn't be surprised if Hidden SG held another one, and I will be there no matter what. This time, I'll remember to get a team, because 5 hits are always better than 1. Coach was right, guys, we have to work together as a team. Could I get top 3 at the Clementi hunt? Well, if there were more families discussing their answers out loud in each clue, I might have a chance. Might, okay? Thanks for watching.